At most traditional ceremonies, one can see the key ingredient of Aboriginal society: equality between men and women.
When you live a subsistence lifestyle, you need cooperation, equal cooperation between men and women. What some people don't realize is that in some societies, women played some pretty prominent roles in terms of even military roles and such in defending the communities. Women had a great say in terms of who would be the representatives of the people.
In the old days, in the traditional way, is that the women were the ones that were basically the bosses, the decision makers, and the leaders. Male Europeans did not want to deal with the women. The women appointed the men that would deal with the Europeans. So they still were, basically behind the scenes controlling things, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
And the women, we are the life givers, we are the water carriers. We're the backbone of the family. And the men are the providers, the protectors and the firekeepers. Because you see out there's that balance, that male and that female.
I've discovered in looking at the early treaties, the first agreements, women are signatories to any agreements concerning land in about the 17th century, and by about the 18th century they begin to be omitted from the process, so you don't see their names any longer.
From the teachings that people today, the elders and traditional teachers talk about, is the role of women is that they're the ones that are the bringers of life. Without them, we don't have life.
And without traditional Aboriginal society, American democracy may not have developed as it did.
Well, Aboriginal societies played a great role in terms of influencing European societies and changing their governing structures. The Iroquois Confederacy, for instance, were very influential and were called in 1753 to the Albany Conference so that Benjamin Franklin could understand the process of governance that the Six Nations had. In 1988, the U.S. Congress passed a resolution basically stating that the Iroquois Confederacy was very influential in them creating a democratic charter and a constitution.
While Aboriginal governments helped shape American democracy, in Canada, those traditional governing structures were outlawed.
There was also a change that would start to occur about 1869 in terms of absolving the traditional forms of government in favor of the electoral type of band council system that we know today exists. And by 1924, the RCMP goes into Six Nations and then deposes the last traditional governance.
Can you name one thing that could help the Aboriginal people right now?
Reduced corruption amongst reserve leaders and a better internal government.
It's only really with the Revised Indian Act in 1951 and with the franchise being given to Indians in 1960 that businesses really start to, Aboriginal people start getting into businesses and such.
Ainsley is a perfect example of the fastest growing trend in Aboriginal business in Canada. She's young, she's Métis, and female.
We have found that there are literally hundreds of Aboriginal community members that want to start their own business.
While it's challenging for Aboriginal entrepreneurs in cities, starting a business on a reserve can prove even more difficult.
If they want to set up a business, they have to apply and get permission from the federal government. And it takes sometimes 60 days, it could take 6 months, it could take even more than a year or so even to get an answer. If it's an affirmative, then you've got a whole nother wait of a year or two, and then you've got to try and get the money.
Do you think Aboriginal people have the same opportunities as other Canadians?
No. Because you ask me those questions, and it's illegal for them to do some, just everyday ordinary things, and that just seems way out of proportion.
Next on the Sharing Circle, A few more things you might want to know.
There's already a presumption being made, even at an early stage, that Aboriginal people will never be true owners of their lands.